ॐ सहस्रशीर्षा पुरुषः सहस्राक्षः सहस्रपात् स भूमिं विश्वतो वृत्वा अत्यतिष्ठद्दशाङ्गुलं पुरुष एवेदगं सर्वं यद्भूतं यच्छ भव्यं उतामृतत्वशेषानः यदन्नेनातिरोहति एतावानस्य महिमा अतो जायागश्च पूरुषः.
In the life of a Hindu, the temple plays an important role. Going to temple is an integral aspect of Hindu living. One goes to the temple to celebrate happy occasions like what you have seen, and also one goes to a temple during difficult times to seek solace and the blessings of the Lord. Temple is a place where both individual activity like praying and group activities like celebrations take place. We have Dr. Rukmani, who is working as a professor and chair of Hindu Studies at Concordia University with us. Dr. Rukmani, would you like to tell us about the role the temples play in a Hindu's life?
Thank you very much for asking me to say something that I know about this subject. It's significant that a temple is a place of worship, as we all know. But a place of worship like a church, for instance, a Christian goes to the church on Sunday and comes away after prayer. But if you look at a Hindu temple, there's so much more than just being a place of worship or prayer. For instance, if we look around this place, you have a cultural memory. You have these statues, these icons all over the pillars. What do they signify? They convey the cultural history of this religion known as Hinduism. When young people come here and somebody who knows takes them around and explains all this to them, it comes alive to them. They live their culture. That's one very important aspect of a Hindu going to a temple. It's just a place of worship. It's a cultural center. And also, Hinduism is also special in this sense. It's not only through ritual and prayer that you can access the divine. You can also access the divine through music and dance. So, in ancient times, back home, and I'm sure that is true of the diaspora Hindu temples as well, they do conduct music and dance classes. And so in a certain sense, again, the cultural, aesthetic life of the community is kept alive, and the temple plays a vital role in that, conveying the tradition as well as keeping the tradition alive for the Hindu.
Building a temple is a very large project. Project planning and careful execution of the plan are important requirements. Mobilizing the required manpower, materials, and financial resources is not a simple task. In the olden days, the kings or the rulers of the land undertook the task of building a temple. With the Hindu diaspora, immigrant communities in countries far away from their homeland build temples. Montreal Murugan Temple is one such undertaking. The Vastu Shastra, which is an Upaveda of Atharva Veda, contains a great body of knowledge to help in planning and building a temple. When building a temple in the modern times, both tradition and the use of technology are intertwined. After sanctifying the ground, laying the foundation begins. Here, we observe how the machines drive the piles into the ground to build the foundation. The construction of a temple should be such that every effort must be made to create an atmosphere of holiness around it. Temple building is considered both scientific and religious. The blending of science and religion is aimed to create inspirations in the minds of the temple goers or devotees. How can this be achieved? The Vastu Shastra lays down several rules and procedures to help a temple builder to achieve such a goal. It deals with several things: the architectural aspects, the proportions and measures used in construction, the materials used, the gopurams, the mandapams, and the open spaces placed relative to each other, the construction of the sanctum sanctorum or the garbhagraham, the praharams, the images placed at different places, the construction of images, all these things, and so on. A large community project requires a large number of community workers. All their efforts have to be well coordinated and channelized. We must remember, unlike the ancient time when people worked for a king, these people are volunteers, and coordination of volunteer forces is no small task. As the building takes shape, we see the enthusiasm of volunteers build up. Our forefathers viewed the temple as a symbolic structure, a thing that connects the physical existence with the universal metaphysical thing that is abstract and known as Purusha or Brahman. Great people like Tirumular, one of the 18 Siddhas who lived several centuries ago, viewed the human body itself as a temple. In this body as a temple, life is in the form of God. Therefore, both the body and the temple should be equally treated and cared to let God live there. In a temple, there is an exterior and there is an interior. As we go from the exterior into the temple, a convergence of rhythm takes place. Let us see here how the exterior of a temple is taking its shape. Magnificent gopuram and praharams rise from the ground up. A long journey starts from a small step, like little drops of water make an ocean. Efforts to build a temple gather together. From exterior rough work, now we turn to see how the interior rough work was done. According to Shastras, in a temple, the Garbhagraham or Sanctum Sanctorum is built in the form of a square. Square is a polygon in which the opposite sides and the opposite angles are equal. Life is full of opposites, good and bad, happiness and sorrow. Balancing these opposites is what is signified by a square. Unlike the praharams or the outer perimeter, the Garbhagriha is dark and is void of things except the main deity. This is because the bhakta should focus inwards and find the light within oneself and not to be distracted by any other thing than the main focus. Montreal Murugan Temple is being constructed by the Saiva Mission of Quebec. Mr. Yoganathan is the present president of the Saiva Mission of Quebec. Mr. Yoganathan, as the president of Saiva Mission of Quebec, can you tell us about the mission and its objectives?
Saiva Mission of Quebec is a registered charitable organization. It's in operation since 1985. Initially, we didn't have a place of worship, so we used the Hindu Mandir in Belche Street for our weekly Friday services. And in 1992, we purchased the land at St. Regis Street. It is a 72,000 square feet land. So then we started planning our phase 1 project. The phase 1 includes building of the Palalayam and a community center. The phase 1 was completed in 1995, and then we started our planning for the phase 2 of our project. Phase 2 is the construction of the authentic temple as per Vedic rules and guidelines.
Garbhagraham is the centerpiece of a temple. From the center, a rhythm proceeds towards the periphery or praharams. This rhythm is created by the ordered sequence of presentations. Such presentations are created by very small things as well as very large things. People work carefully planning and mixing things differently at different stages. They decide upon what materials to use, what to place where, and what objects should be used in what sequence in order to create a proper rhythm. Rajagopuram at the main entrance of the temple is normally a tall and magnificent structure. There are several stages in a Gopuram. When temples were built thousands of years ago, long inclined planes were used to transport heavy stones from the ground up to the heights of several hundred feet. However, in modern time, temple building uses suitable machinery to assist in the process. Here we see the scaffolding structures and concrete pouring machines being used to form pyramid-like structure in the Rajagopuram. Once you undertake a major project, the work goes on. Whether it rains or shines, snows or not, cold and windy or hot, people keep on working. They direct each other in performing different tasks. They work hard to keep their schedules. The Gopuram rises one step at a time, just like the human life proceeds from one stage to another. Days later, when the concrete is poured, even the unfinished rough work of the Gopuram appears majestic. Combination of the tradition and the modern outlook exists together. A sky dome is provided so that the devotees can see the Rajagopuram from inside, thus facilitating the view from inside in the winter period. The Shastras spell out clearly what material should be used for building a temple and how a team of artisans and builders must be put together to commission the making of a temple. At the Murugan temple here, many of the rules are followed. Some adaptations to suit the time and space have been incorporated. The concrete core is raised first, then around which brickwork is put together and a rough structure and shapes are created. Later, on the brickwork, the cement work is done, creating the final architectural appearance. On top of the brickwork, the Sirpis, who came from India, work with cement to build the architectural appearance of the final gopuram. The various images and shapes on the gopuram are individually created and integrated together, giving the final shape. There are two gopurams in the Murugan temple. One is at the entrance, that is known as the Raja Gopuram or the King of Gopurams. The other one is called Vimanam, which is on top of the Garbhagriha. From the exterior, now we focus and converge to the interior. The finishing work of the interior of the Murugan temple is presented now. There are three shrines, one for the Lord Ganesha, at the center one for the main deity Lord Muruga, and one for Lord Venkateshwara. Besides these, there are shrines for the cosmic dancer Lord Nataraja, the Vasanta Mandapam for the Urchava Murti, Navagrahas, and the Lord Bhairava. In the interior of the temple, there are 6 pillars. For the Lord Murugan, the Tamils attribute 6 Padaiveedugal. Each pillar enshrines one Padaiveedu. Now let us take a closer look at how the individual images are created by a Sirpi. The skillful creation of these people are worth watching. The materials used are regular bricks broken into chips, copper rods, and cement. Specifically here we will see the image of Lord Murugan along with his favorite peacock being created by one Sirpi. These Sirpis are trained formally in a school located in Mahabalipuram near Madras. This particular image took about 3 days of continuous work for this Sirpi to create it. The temple surrounding should persuade the devotees to see the Lord in many different forms and through many different forms. These forms or images include many things: birds like peacocks, animals like elephant or lion, dancing poses, goddess of wealth, and so on. These images should help to create inspirations in the minds of people. To create inspirations, the temple builders use iconographic images, sculptures, sequences, open spaces, and huge decorative entrance doors, and their relative positioning as well as their orientation. We can see these things are placed to create a rhythm. Proportions, measures, and balancing are three basic notions that are clearly emphasized in the Vastu Shastra to create such inspirations. As we go into the temple from the exterior towards the interior, a rhythm should inspire the transition from the materialistic outside world towards the abstract inner world. This inspiration should induce or help to induce a focus. Traditionally, the Garbhagraham or the inner sanctum sanctorum is kept dark or relatively dark with a single main deity to help such focusing.
As the Chief Project Coordinator, Mr. Umapathi will tell us about the Phase 2 operation, which is coming close to completion now.
The key events started with the hiring of or engaging the services of a leading architect from Tamil Nadu, Dr. Ganapati Sabadi, in the early days, and later on with another leading Sabadi, Dakshinamurti, who executed the project. The key events, the dates were, we had the sword turning ceremony in June 2001, the conch laying, basically the foundation laying ceremony in June 2002. From 13th of June, it went on for 3 days. And now the Kumbhabhishekam, or the consecration ceremony.
There is always fight or struggle between two opposites in our lives: good and evil, humility and pride, love and hate. There are 6 major struggles that we should balance in our life, and this is depicted by the 6 pillars. The struggle between the good and evil is depicted in the first pillar which is also a Padaiveedu at Tiruchendur, where the Lord Murugan appears in a fierce look. The second pillar depicts Swami Malai. This embodies the pride and Aragankara fighting against humility. The struggle between attachment and detachment is ever present from birth to death. This is depicted in the pillar devoted for the Padaiveedu called Palani. Here the Lord Murugan is seen as a humble Andi. Thirupparangundram depicts the marriage of Lord Muruga with Devayanai. In Tamil culture, the married life or samsara is considered very important. Achieving moksha through samskara is more difficult and challenging. Thiruthani is a place where Lord Murugan marries Valli. This depicts the struggle one faces with love in everyday life. Valli Thirumanam has lots of meaning. Valli is an embodiment of love. Dharma and wealth are two opposites. This struggle is depicted in Paramudir Cholai. Valli and Devayanai are the two embodiments of it.
There is a past, there is a present, and there is also the future. The phase 3 of the project talks about or thinks about the future. Mr. Vijaykantan is one of the trustees and project coordinator of this endeavor. He'll tell us about the phase 3 efforts that's in the planning.
Considering the needs of the Tamil community here in Montreal, we purchased 50,000 square feet of additional land adjoining the present facility in 2005. And our future project, it's an ambitious project, which is to build a community center and a home for the seniors in the new 50,000 square feet of land.
Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvi Navadhitamastu Ma Vitvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mrutangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.